Hi everybody, and welcome to another video, me going through my favorites list on fanfiction.net. For those of you, you know the drill by now. I've sorted them by publication date, going through from oldest to newest, seeing whether they'd still deserve a place on my list. So let's just get started with Harry Potter and the Trademark Dispute by Clell665619. As you've seen, if you watched the previous video, you see he's shown up a lot because he's got a lot of funny things, so I really like him. Let's just go on with this. So basically, this story involves I think it takes place during his 6th year, but that timeline's not really important. What's important is Harry finally gets fed up with Voldemort after he interrupts a wet dream he was having, and he just says, "Fuck it, I'm pulling out the big guns, I'm getting Hermione off the leash, and I'm gonna just abuse him and attack him in every way possible." And what ends up happening is she ends up suing him with the the Guild of Evil Overlords, whereas Lord Voldemort makes a fake application for Harry to get annoyed by the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, like superheroes or whatever. And it's just constantly both of them are just constantly fucking with each other while stupidity ensues. I love this so much. It was super fun. There's a little weird irritation where the last scene of each chapter gets repeated. It shows up again at the beginning of the next. That could be a little annoying, but it's not that big a deal. Think of it as if you're watching a episode of something, like a brief recap of the previous episode, and it's fun enough. I enjoyed it, I liked it, smiled, I was laughing the entire time, so yeah, this stays on my list. Right. Next is Civil War Hulk by Michael Weyer. So basically this story is an alternate take of Civil War. I say alternate take, but it's not really. Basically what it is the original Civil War arc is occurring, and then at one of its climactic moments, World War Hulk just starts, and Civil War basically gets pushed to the wayside. And it's just what happened if sometimes the story arcs weren't properly timed, so that they're all by themselves, but if two of them happen around the same time, so all the problems of both occur. So yeah, that's how it goes, and it was fun. I don't know much about the comic storyline. World War Hulk, I knew nothing. I don't read comics, so I don't know World War Hulk. Civil War, the only thing I know about it is the Marvel Ultimate Alliance game, the second one, which was the Civil War storyline. But I think it's done really well. It really has the feel of a comic, in the sense that nothing new, nothing that's not completely new, it gets explained. So it's very much in the vein of the serialized stories, where it's okay, this is comic 700, so you should know who Cap is, you should know who Iron Man is, you should know who Spider-Man is, you know all these people, we're not going to reintroduce them to you for the 17th time. And it's just or whatever it is, just deal with it, this is happening, and just moves on. And it even has a sequel tease for the next arc that would occur. I don't think he actually made the next arc storyline wise, but it worked. It really just feels like a comic book, and that, I feel like, considering what it's trying to be, that's high praise. And yeah, I like it a lot. It's gonna stay on my list. Alright, moving on to Masks by Cordria. And this is a Daniel Fenton fic, where Danny's teacher finally gets fed up with him and locks him in the school to find out his secret. And then basically, it's about the connection between Danny and Mr. Lancer, and we see how he we get insights of Lancer about why he actually cares, how he cares, why he likes Danny, and all that stuff. And I feel it's a short thing, but Danny Phantom was a show I liked a lot. I didn't get to see as much of it because I had inconsistent cable, so I didn't see him very often. But I really enjoyed it, and seeing him actually expose himself like that and go that way, it's interesting. I like this a lot, and it stays on my list. And yeah, okay. Now to something a little less serious is a Fate Initiative roll by Person With Many Aliases. And basically this is Shiro, the main character getting dragged into a Holy Grail war because he's too spineless to get a bunch of nerds and moochers out of his house. If you couldn't tell by the initiative roll and the summary of roll of dice, it's basically Fate if it was a D&D campaign, and it's really funny, and I super like this a lot. And yeah, it's short, funny, stays on my list. Alright. To Naruto now with A New Life by Infernal Maelstrom. So this is a Pokegirl fic. Pokegirls are basically, if people wanted to have sex with Pokemon. You make the Pokemon into women who have to have sex in order to stay sane, and yeah, well, that was the lore. I don't know where it originally came up with, but yeah, that's this. And it starts where he's 18. Canon happens, a whole bunch of shit, and then he just ends up sent to the world of Pokegirls and becomes a tamer and stuff, and it's kind of ridiculous, he just constantly, Naruto's getting new, super rare, super powerful Pokegirls. He can train them up to level 100 with, no difficulty, just I'm gonna train you normally, no, fighting or extending, just we'll train for, a couple weeks, and then boom, you're level 100, magic. All that stuff, he's just, I can, just by thinking about it, I can make you learn the moves that you learn way later. All that stuff is really just, annoying. I got through about 8 chapters of this 33 chapter story before the fact that I just did not give a shit. It just ended it for me. I was like, okay, this is just done. There's a lot of fights that occur. If you are interested in this, I want to see it. A lot of Pokédex entries, and they are a lot of text with each one, so if you want to get this author's lore of Pokegirls, you can do that as well. It is rated T, and that's because there's no sex scenes in this thing that's all about sex, which is kind of weird. But yeah, there's no actual sex scenes, just mentions that oh, hey, then they had sex, and they got tamed, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I just found this to be really boring and not interesting, so yeah. It's gone off my list. Okay. Next is I Can't Believe It's Not 15 IBRC Certification by Lord Ra. I don't know what the title is. I guess maybe that's the porn certification in Japan or something. But basically, this is Evangelion. Shinji, before he goes to the whole thing, instead of just getting raised by his old sensei, he gets raised by a porn star, and he likes walking around naked, which makes everyone around him a little uncomfortable, and until they all want his dick. And also everybody just think, oh, he walks around naked, he must want to rape everybody and do this, and he's just like, no, I don't want to, okay, you guys are weird, and just repeatedly same thing happens again and again, and it's kind of irritating and stupid. It doesn't even get very far. We don't even get to Asuka, so we don't even see her. Obviously, would be over the blown reaction, but nope, that's not there. It's just not much interesting and not even much difference other than this one joke that just constantly keeps coming up, and it's not even a good joke. So yeah, it's just boring, irritating, off. Alright, so we got a few more. So we got now is Virtual Hokage by Type 00. And basically there's a video game. This is a Naruto one where there's a video game about being Hokage, kind of like Sims or whatever, and Naruto wants it, and so he gets it and from the Hokage, but then it turns out he's really good at it, so he beats it, and then Hokage's like, okay, fine, I'll give you some responsibilities. And eventually it turns out he just is really good at all this and just keeps getting more and more responsibilities until he's basically running Konoha. And then when he goes onto a mission, everything turns to shit. So, we have to keep him alive and get stuff. So Uncle gets sent to the Wave mission as backup to make sure he stays alive. And that does make a huge amount of butterflies occur during the Wave arc. The Wave mission changes dramatically in very interesting ways that if the story had continued would have been very, very interesting to see what would have happened. You know, like the fact that Zabuza is not dead. You know, well, Zabuza and Haku not being dead, that's not a huge change, but like Kakashi and Sasuke, they lose their Sharingans and they're replaced with normal eyes, and like those guys have it now, and like a whole bunch of other stuff. Like those things would have been big changes, and it would have been very interesting to see where it goes. But the story just dies. I mean, it doesn't die. It wasn't continued. Nothing goes on. If it had continued, there would have been great stuff. But here, aside from the interesting bit of differences that are there for the Wave mission, which I mean, there are a few novel fight scenes, but nothing super worth staying on my list. So yeah, falls off. Sorry. More Naruto now. Naruto going digital. Crimson Tears Sharingan. And this is a Naruto crossover with Digimon Tamers, which is season 3 of the show. If you know that's the one where they were like in the real world and 3 kids had like Digimon and the Digivices. I really liked this season. I think this was the first season of Digimon I actually saw, and I really enjoyed it. This story, on the other hand, it's basically like it starts after the Sasuke retrieval arc, and basically a sovereign Digimon just shows up in Konoha and is apparently like transforms and like turns everybody against him and makes Naruto think everybody wants to kill him. So he flees to the digital world, and then it somehow ends up in Shinjuku at the start of canon, and then basically it's just canon with like a tag along. He's just there occasionally. He also fights, but it's just everything that happens in canon is happening with an extra person there. I know that you can say that that's the case for most crossovers of this kind of nature, where just one character shows, but like they at least usually have an impact, and like big things start changing or moving around, or like it's at least novel and says, oh wow, he's so badass, and like it becomes like a joke of what canon is and stuff. But none of that's here. It's basically just another person trying to struggle against everything, so it's just not that interesting. It's boring, and it doesn't even finish. The story's not even done, and it's not continuing, so yeah, it's dull. That's another one that's just off my list. And now finally we come to the last one. Harry Potter fic, Almost a Squib by Baha B. And this is pretty damn interesting. I like this a lot. It was basically Harry is basically a squib. He has no magical power. He can barely do stuff if he struggles really hard, but his the huge amount of power he had in actual canon is not there. But he still has to deal with all the shit that is canon. This goes through the entire series, and it's complete, so that's a plus. But I really enjoyed this because it shows basically he still has to deal with all the stuff in canon without any of his powers, and yeah, it's a good way of him, but I feel it's more like important of the writer. It's a way to show the writer to show that like, hey, all these problems, I can still hit every single major plot beat of the story with this huge deficiency in my main character, and it shows how you can use lateral thinking in ways to solve all the same problems or get to the same locations in very different ways. I like this a lot. Really interesting, and it's going to stay on my list. Alright, so there we have it. Another 9 stories done. 170 stories read, 99 stay on my list. So that's, if you're interested in that stats. If you want links for URLs for all the stories are in the description, as well as summaries and all that. If you want to, if you guys read any of these, please let me know. It's always fun. I've tried to get people to read stories. It's always fun to share what you like with people. Comment if you guys like anything. If you like the video, leave a like. If you want to keep following this story, subscribe to the channel, do that. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.